Hello, my name is Lou,
And I'm Katie.
and you're listening to Files from the Other Side. This week we're opening up the files on
Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra. And Legend of Korra. Fuck, I'll say the full title for both shows.
Korra.
Korra?
We'll get into it, okay?
Avatar and
I don't want to
Korra.
start. Avatar and Korra. Aang and Korra, Avatar, and the show's Avatar and Korra.
The show generally. I mean, I love Aang so much, and of course, I'm going to talk about the genocide of the Airbenders. However, I will be mostly, I'm sure, talking about Prince Zuko and his quest for and Uncle Iroh. I have a question. I have a section of my notes that is literally just dedicated to Iroh quotes, and the title of that section is Uncle Iroh quotes I could talk about for conservatively 10 years. Because
or the rest of your life.
I will spend the rest of my life reciting. This is one of those episodes where I will cry. 1,000%. There is this one, a particular Iroh quote that makes me fucking cry every single time I fucking think about it. I'm starting to tear up already. I watched this show as a kid, and it meant so much to me in childhood. I loved it so much. I wanted to be a part of that world so fucking bad. And I feel like it's so influential. I feel like it influenced me in a lot of ways. This is a children's show about war and genocide and honor and balance and finding your place in the world. I forget constantly that it's a children's show. I remember I was watching it during quarantine, and I was stoned, but I was watching it during quarantine one time, stoned as fuck, and they were like, "We're gonna kick the Fire Nation's butt," blah blah blah. They're talking about kicking butt, and I was like, "Why are they not saying ass?" I was like, "What?" what? And then it came back from a commercial, and it was like TVY7 at the top, and I was like, "Right, this is a children's show. This is a children's cartoon. It just happens to be about war."
And a show at that. Okay, so I'll tell you my background with the show is that I didn't watch it as a kid. My sister did. She would watch episodes every now and again. She would remember it. But I was never into it because I had not watched Disney Channel or Nickelodeon in years, when my sister was watching it at the time. I was kind of trying to watch, older people stuff. At a very young age, I was not into kids stuff anymore. I was into watching, adult
I was
TV.
going to say, we were 10 when the show started coming out. This is the 20th
really
anniversary this year. This summer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I will also say that I preferred Disney Channel over Nickelodeon. So I saw episodes, but I never connected to the show as a child.
You didn't watch the season finale in your living room with your friends?
Well, I remember the first time I watched it, I think, was also during quarantine. I don't think it was in college even, actually. Because I don't remember. Okay, so here's what I remember in college. I watched everybody else watch it. And I was like, I'm watching Gossip Girl. I'm watching my Supernatural over and over and over and over and over again as a comfort show. I'm going to watch
X-Files.
Californication. Again, I was so into these other things. And then when quarantine hit, my sister was watching it. And she was like, you should watch this. You've never seen it through? And I was like, no. And she was like, you should watch it. And I was like, okay. So, because I was bored, obviously, it's quarantine. And so I started it up. And I went from season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender through last episode of Korra, right? I was like, holy fucking so my adult brain blown. Because at the same time as I saw it as an adult, I was feeling the same way you did. How is this a kid's show? Yeah. How is this a kid's show? How is this hitting so hard and I'm 24, whatever? 25, 26, whatever? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like, this is relevant to me.
I think I love it more and have a deeper appreciation for it more as an adult, because I remember loving it so much as a kid and loving it so hard. But I get Zuko's redemption arc hit so hard as a recovered addict, as I found it again during my quitting drinking, but also the Dai Li, there's a secret cultural police, they're a bossing say, we should say spoilers. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
But also you're tardy to the party, because Korra's been out for 12 years at this point. So, and no judgment. I'm always tardy at the party. But I get so much out of it as an adult, and I'm like, did I even get this much out of it as a kid? I know I got a lot out of it. Like,
Yeah.
I owned entire episodes. Oh my god, I owned the library episode, I owned the desert episode, I owned the episode where Aang started fucking learning how to earthbend, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So much. There's no fat on that show. There is no fat. Like, there's maybe 3 jokes in the entire series that, like, were like, that didn't need to be there. That was just, like, some dumb kid's joke. I truly believe it's at most 3.
I couldn't tell you which they are even, so maybe 0, actually.
It might be 0, because I'm like, there's at least one but I can't remember what it is.
Yep.
I remember being like, that didn't need to be there one time in the entire 60 episodes. And there's only 60 episodes, which is crazy to me because there's so much.
Every episode is like a journey. That show is like every episode you're like, when you get to from point A to point B, you're like, holy shit, what did I go through?
Right. And Korra's like that too. Like Korra's
yes.
to a lesser extent because it feels like they were trying to figure, like it felt like there's a little bit they're figuring it out as it goes with Korra.
Yeah.
But the more I watch Korra, the more I love Korra. Like I didn't love Korra the first time I tried to watch it in college because I think it was still coming out when we were.
The finale was our sophomore year.
Okay, great. So it was coming out in college. So I like remember watching a little bit and being like having trouble with it because Avatar is a perfect television show. Much like 30 Rock. It is perfect and it cannot be improved upon. I don't know if I've said this before at this podcast, but I've said it many times in my personal life. Uncle Iroh is who I want to be when I grow up.
I think you have actually. Now that I'm thinking back on our episodes, I'm like, I've like edited that, like, or not edited it, but like seen it in my edits.
Seen it, yeah. Maybe even this week. I think we talked about the Avatar a couple earlier.
Well, we've been gearing up for this episode for like weeks.
So many times because we tried to record it and then we couldn't. We both had really traumatic Christmas breaks and just like couldn't get to it in a timely fashion then. And then, oh man, yeah. So I watched it twice in the last like 3 months. And because I didn't take notes the first time, and then there was a lot of like really good. It wasn't just Iroh quotes I wanted to talk about. Like there's some great quotes. Oh my god. So many great quotes. Like, what are the ones that's so, like, random? Okay, a random one. This isn't necessarily chronological order. This is in the 3rd season. But this is, like, a one-off that it's not going to, like, have a whole tangent to go with. There's a Toph quote. Katara, you are fun. If nothing else, you're at least fun to argue with. Like gold. And also, like, Americans need to be more comfortable with arguing. Like, we can have differences of opinion and we can have discussions and meaningful debates about our differences and still, like, love and respect each other. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, me personally, I've always believed that our differences tell us the most about the nature of God. Like, what does it say about the divine and the manifestations of, what the Muslims call Tawheed, the transcendent oneness of God.
Right.
Who's like
actually, and I have a thing to say about that too. That when I think about the relationship between Toph and Katara is a very girly girl. She's a very women should be this way because that's how she was taught. Toph is very resistant to womanhood, right? She's very like I'm a tough blind girl. Like I think
Toph was also but I think Toph was also raised that way, but because she kicks so much ass, she was like, no.
She's resistant to the idea. I've always viewed Toph as kind of queer, and you kind of see that in Korra. I
was like, how did she end up with men?
But did she? No, she didn't. She didn't. Girl, that girl was in the woods alone,
being Yoda,
minding her bee,
being Yoda, watching her daughters kick ass, like. I love her. My girl's never picked up metal bending. Toph is. It's just now I want to just talk about Toph and her fighting style because I'm like I love her whole fighting philosophy of like you watch that show again, guys. When you rewatch Avatar, I want you to take special note of Toph. She never ever uses more than maybe 3 moves to take somebody down. It's usually only 2. You get them off balance, as she teaches saying, you get them off balance, and then you use their weight against them. Like, and if you watch, like, the first fight where she's, like, taking on, like, 11 people, no, they're mine, and she fucking kicks all the ass, like, and just one by one. She takes 3 people out with 1 move one time in that fight. Like, literally, she does not...
Mind you, these are children.
Incredible. This is a 12-year-old. This is a 12-year-old character that I'm talking about. Like, what the fuck? I remember trying to watch this show when we lived in Massachusetts together when I was, like, 23, and being so horrified by how old they were. And then I, like, had to turn it off. I was like, oh my God, they're too young to be going through any of this. And then I revisited it during quarantine, and that was the first time I watched it since childhood all the way through, because I remember, like, having that at first and then being like, do children not grow up in war zones? Like, are we not all experiencing this bullshit right now? Like, yeah. And then I had, like, visceral sense, like, the score, like, takes me back. Like, there were times where I was like, I feel like I'm literally 12 years old sitting on the couch of my childhood home. Mm-hmm. Like, this is crazy. Oh my God. Yeah, you forget that it's a children's show because it's about fucking genocide. Like, my first note was actually just general. Overly Sarcastic Productions has this great episode in her trope talks about being the last of your kind. And she has a really great part where she talks about, like, Aang being the last airbender. And, like, how he choosing to take away the Fire Lord's power, like his firebending, was the harder option. Like, that was the more difficult and more dangerous to his own self. But he stood in his full integrity, and was able to, like, he was aligned the most with himself and his values. His moral code's the last connection that he has to his people. Oh my God, I cry every... It's his last connection that he has to his people is the ethical code that he raised him in. Because Appa and Momo are gonna die. Yeah. Like, he doesn't have the clothes on his back anymore by the end. And he does the episode where he has to get rid of the staff. I cry every time. That's his last non-living connection to his people. Like, and he fucking...
And then doesn't at one point that guy with the eye destroy most of the Northern Air Temple? Or was that a different air temple?
No. I think it was the northern one. I think it was in Korra, though. I think it's Pali that destroys most.
It was the one that
the
Zuko
Western.
Hired.
Because they stay in the Western Air Temple after he comes by.
I thought it was the northern one because I was like, or the one he was from, because they went back. Like, I thought they had gone back, but maybe not.
No, they end up destroying. I feel like the Northern Air Temple is done so after the fucking because Zahir and their people do some damage on that one, and also, like, they end up, like, being lava bended, like, out. You know what I mean? Like, the fucking which is one of my favorite moments in Korra when Bolin fucking lava bends.
He's like, I can lava bend.
Oh my God, necessity is the motherfucker of invention.
And and then you're like, oh, Bolin, you didn't need a metal bend. You got it.
Right? You're like, Bolin, you are special, just not the same kind of special that everyone else is. It's great. I love Bolin. Now I'm, like, thinking about Bolin. I was, like, gonna say more about fucking, okay, I must go back to, it also kills me about Aang fucking, okay, hold on, this is hilarious. Okay, it kills me when Aang beats himself up for disappearing. He wasn't ready. He probably couldn't have done it anyways. Secondly, even if he had done it, there would have been no one to restore order and peace to the Fire Nation. One son would go on avenging the father that got killed by the Avatar, etc. He needed to be there when he was, because he fucking needed Zuko. Like, he needed somebody who had seen the damage and been like, oh no. Like, had seen the damage and then also had somebody like Iroh who had caused some of that damage and then repented for it and been like, actually, there's a way out of this for all of us. I saw a fucking YouTube short that was like, Iroh's actually fucking evil. You guys suck. And I was like,
what drugs are you smoking, person, on the internet?
Well, they were. I'm like, it's not. Is anyone forgetting that? Like, I. That's like his whole. That's why Iroh is able to say, like, in the fucking like Lao guy episode, when they meet Jet's like, I'm just trying to have a new start, blah blah blah. And Iroh's like, that is noble. He's like, that is a noble thing. I believe that a man can change his life if he wants. And he stops looking at Jet, looks directly at Zuko, and he's like, I believe in second chances.
He's like, Jet, fuck you.
Zuko, I believe in second chances. Because he got one. Like, he got one because he did participate in the war. He did think he was going to fucking overtake Ba Sing Se. And then the loss of his son, he fucking was like, oh, I've been wrong. I see. I was blind, but now I see. Like, he's like, I've been inflicting this damage on other people, and I can no longer do it.
And like, I think like, if you're going to be a character that repents, and then the audience gets to decide if that repentance was enough. In my personal opinion, the fact that he raised Zuko turns out to be the man that Iroh wanted him to be, and then you get to see him be that man in Korra. And then you get to see Iroh being like at peace with that. I'm like, he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
In the end. He in the White Lotus stuff too, right? Like,
oh my god.
It transitions, but it's like it transitions into more to me like a cop thing, but like,
yeah. But it was a secret society thing originally.
Originally it was because he knew that whatever happened with the Avatar was going to come back up again. He knew that.
Yeah. He
was like, this part of it has not ended. He was so spiritual at that point that he was acknowledging, like, hey, like, the fire, Ozai. He was like, hey, Ozai, just by the way, like, you're gonna get fucked up. Like, the universe won't let this fucking go with you winning here. So...
fucking Ozai, that one, oh my god, when he fights Aang and he was like, after years of searching for you, the universe delivers you to me as an act of providence. And I'm like, what a fucking asshole.
Do we think that Ozai is daddy though? Because he kind of is.
He's so hot.
He's so hot. Okay, can I just tell you a tidbit about the live action?
Oh, please. Is it actually Mark Hamill in the live action?
Hold on.
Because it kills me that it's Mark Hamill in the fucking cartoon. I have to constantly remember, be like, that's fucking Mark Hamill.
So Daniel Day Kim portrays Ozai in the live action.
How do I know that name?
You're good. You know him by his face. Like, you can see him.
Oh, I can barely see him in that picture.
He's very famous. He's in a lot of stuff.
No. If I could get it, that wasn't as clear on the thing.
Here's like a good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Daniel Day Kim, right? Okay, so he daddies it 1,000 in the live action. Like, it's like, oh shit. Why do they always make evil men hot?
That's right. Like, no wonder I'm always attracted. You know, another villain I'm attracted to in the Avatar universe? Sahir.
Kufira. Kufira's hot as fuck. What are you talking about? Kufira's sexy.
Kuvira is definitely hot. She's got a really sexy voice.
Yeah,
Kuvira is also hot. Yeah, actually, yeah, she's got a super gay voice.
I think
there's another character where I'm like, you ended with men too, really? Okay.
Right when he's with, what is it, Patar Jr.? Is that who she's with?
Yeah.
So Batar Jr. is such a little twink. It's like, what were you doing with...
They're each other's beard. Here's a really interesting one. Today you restored your own honor, which was Azula to Zuko in the season 2 finale, which I think is, like, I mean, obviously she was trying to manipulate him into coming back with her. Like, that was clear. But it's fascinating to me that even she's like, you're actually the only one that can restore your honor. Like, you don't need dad to restore your honor. You fucking did it today by helping me take down the Avatar. Like, so, and also like Azula was my first. She's my, I love. So you said Kuvira, and I immediately was like, Azula.
Oh, Azula
because
too.
so hot. She was like my first fucking. She was like my first time that I was like, girls, give me villains too, like, because she's just so cool and collected and
but also super fucking evil.
But so evil, like truly, and like relishes the evil, like is like wants to watch the world burn, like
because
literally.
you can tell. One of the things about Azula that I've always found fascinating is you can tell how her society has gotten to her in a way that this is almost draws like a very one-to-one connection to the American Revolution-ish conversation, right? So Azula goes insane at the end. Like, you kind of see her just like go insane. That's what white supremacy and colonization does to the American public. When you refuse to decolonize, when you refuse to become anti-racist, you go insane, because guess what? The reality that you and these other white supremacy people live in, these neo-Nazis, these far-right people live in, isn't real. It's made up. So once you decide to decolonize, you will go insane, because then you have to completely change your reality of like, what is real? What have they been telling us versus what is true? Which is, Zuko has the nicest way of doing it, because he's like seeing it firsthand, which is kind of how it feels to go out of the country, right? I've never been outside the country. I've decolonized inside the country. I've never stepped foot outside. I don't need a lot to like believe, though. Some things are true. Like, I just have never been that kind of person that's like, I was kind of raised in a white supremacist, like very fundamentalist Christian background, but a lot of my family didn't trust the government anyways, because a lot of my family were fucking criminals. So it was like a given. It was like, okay, we're criminals, but you know, politics wasn't like a thing. But when Azula goes insane, it's like, that's how these white supremacist neo-Nazi alt-right people look. You look fucking crazy. And when you keep pushing the agenda, it's such a one-to-one thing for me, Azula, especially for white women, white womaning in that crazy way. Yeah. It's like, girl, we have an example of what happens to you. You go insane, and do you want that? And you go insane for evil.
You lose your friends, too. Like, that, because that's the moment that she starts to fucking, like, she lost her best friend. That's, like, one of my favorite moments in the entire series, when Ty Lee's just, like, on instinct to protect May, just fucking is like, and they're all like, did that just happen? Like, I didn't know.
It had to, because otherwise May and Ty Lee would be at risk, because she was about to, like, she could have killed them for her own agenda.
She was about to kill May, like, I mean, literally, or at least
whether or not we thought she was going to do it, but she was going to do it.
She told me she was going to do it. She's going to fucking do it. She fucking...
And that would have driven her more insane if she would have done it too. Ty Lee did her a favor.
I have a really good quote from Zuko about, like, his transition from thinking the same way Azula did to being Team Iroh. Buckle up, guys, because this is a long ass fucking quote, but it's beautiful, and I will try to do my best Dante Bosco impression. Growing up, we were taught that the Fire Nation was the greatest civilization in history, and that somehow the war was our way of sharing our greatness with the rest of the world. What an amazing lie that was. The people of the world are terrified by their Fire Nation. They don't see our greatness, they hate us, and we deserve it. We've created an era of fear in the world. And if we don't want the world to destroy itself, we need to replace it with an era of peace and kindness. And then fucking Ozai, he says that to Ozai, and Ozai's like, your Uncle Iroh been getting to you? And he's like, yeah, he has. Like, it's a really beautiful moment in the Day of Black Sun.
What an amazing lie that was.
Right?
It's like a one-to-one American story. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's so fascinating because it tells the story through an Eastern spiritual lens. Yeah. But I mean, with Western concepts too, but like,
for sure. But there's actually, I love that you said that, because I found in my notes, so like, there's that one episode where they get to the Fire Nation, they disguise themselves, right? And Aang's standing outside the restaurant waiting for everyone. He's like, hotman, 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 Hotman. He's calling everybody Hotman. And I'm like, but A, calling everyone Hotman kills me. A, it's hilarious. B, I saw a PBS special on the Buddha during college. And one of the researchers said that Buddha used to walk around addressing everybody as Buddha.
Yeah.
So it's like you're seeing yourself in everybody and everything. Which
that's cool.
Yeah, very cool. Here, this one off. This is what true love looks like, you guys. May, orange is such an awful color. Zuko, you're so beautiful when you hate the world.
May.
Okay, May is the only reason I forgive Zuko and Katara not getting together. I wanted it so bad. When I was 12 and watching that fucking season 2 finale, I was like, kiss, 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 kiss. And as a 29-year-old watching it this year, I was like, kiss, 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 kiss. But then that exchange happened, and I was like, right, May and Zuko are actually perfect together. They are childhood sweethearts, which makes it even cuter, but they also love that Sokka and Zuko are going to the Boiling Rock for the second Prison Break episode of the series. He's like, that gloomy girl who sighs a lot, and Zuko's like, yeah. Like, all dreamy. He's like, yeah, I miss her.
Oh,
so
Zuko.
cute. Zuko. Oh, I haven't talked enough about Sokka. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
I had a huge crush on Sokka when I was a kid.
Oh my god, who doesn't?
Right? He's so fun. He's like a
funny.
little inventor, too.
Yeah.
Like, he's a little engineer. This is for the episode where he meets his master. Everybody needs a teacher. Like, everybody does need you to learn. You need to learn the fundamentals from somebody so that you learn how to explore on your own in a structured way and know how to tell what resources are good or bad or oh my god, this show has it all. I love the secret society that all their masters are a part of. I love that Pian Dao gave Sokka a White Lotus tile. The way of the sword doesn't belong to any one nation. Knowledge of the arts belongs to us all. That's a real teacher. A real teacher's not gonna gatekeep. He knew that Sokka was not from the Fire Nation and was like, you still absolutely deserve a chance to learn this skill. Roku tells Aang that some friendships are so strong they can transcend lifetimes. This one makes me cheer up every time. I love that idea because Roku and Gyatso were friends, right? And then Aang and Gyatso were friends. But Aang's reflecting on that whole because that's one of my favorite single episodes. When they're going through the Fire Lord and the Avatar's history together, and Aang's trying to he's explaining what's going on to everybody at the end, and they're like, he's super evil. What the fuck? After all that, Sozin left Roku to die. They're just these people are born evil, and Aang's like, that's not the point. If anything, their story proves that anyone is capable of great good and great evil. Everyone, including the Fire Nation, deserves to be given a chance. I also think it's about friendship. Oh my god, so this is what I wrote. I love this. It's important for recovery. I also think their story illustrates that you never really know what you're going to do until the opportunity is in front of you.
Oh, that's good.
Sozin leaving Roku, I think, was a last minute decision. He went to the fucking the exploding fucking island. He went to this island that was literally erupting. And I think it was to save him. Why would you risk your own hide to go save somebody that you were gonna just why would you risk your own hide to make sure that he got killed? Why wouldn't you just trust that the volcano would take care of it? I think his selfish instincts got the better of him at the last minute, and he was like, you know what? I came to save you. I'm actually not going to. And I think in the same vein, I don't think Roku knew he was going to reject Sozin's proposal for a hostile world takeover until Sozin suggested it, and he was like, I don't like how this feels to think about. He got the ick and was against it and stayed against it for his entire life.
Yeah.
And I love us, of course, we love the idea that friendships can span lifetimes. And I love that Toph is the one that's do you think friendships can span lifetimes? Because as we see in Korra, she comes back.
Hey, Twinkle Toes.
Hey, Twinkle Toes.
It's so funny.
So funny. Oh, this is some fun shit. I think my favorite thing in the whole series is in the Puppet Master episode when Aang goes to feed Appa a cabbage. Appa catches it, and then Momo throws a fit. Like he's like, and so Appa's like, okay, and he like drops the cabbage. And then Momo just takes it and scampers off without it, and Aang and Appa are just like, like both Aang and Appa are like, what? Not even gonna share it, like.
I'm not gonna feed little pieces to Appa while you're eating.
We're not gonna like. It's not. Oh, it's easy to do nothing. It's hard to forgive. Let your anger out and then let it go. Aang to Katara in the Southern Raiders episode. This is great. Okay. I think about this quote all the time. Avatar Kyoshi says to Aang, I offer you this wisdom, Aang. Only justice will bring peace. And she leaves and Aang's like, I knew I shouldn't have asked Kyoshi. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, this is fun. I offer you this wisdom, Aang. You must be decisive. Roku says that to Aang. It doesn't sound like advice at all.
Yeah.
It's not really advice. But knowing how dangerous what Aang ends up doing and how he decides to not sacrifice his only connection left to his people, that feels a lot more poignant, even though it's not even really advice. Okay, my last quote before we get into Iroh, because we haven't even got to my Iroh quotes yet. So buckle up. There's another 35 minutes of Iroh quotes before I let you get a word in edgewise. This is great. I might cry during this one. This might be the only non-Iroh quote to make me cry. The true mind can weather all the lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can tough the poison of hate without being harmed. Since beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purified light. The lion turtle says that to Aang and the old masters. All caps, tears, always. As I said earlier, there's no fat on this show. It reminds me of how important shadow work is for figuring yourself out and recovery. You have to know all sides of yourself to know what you want and to how to be a person, or at least the most effective and satisfying version of a person, and funniest.
You know, that actually reminds me of my literally this week's therapy session that I had with my fucking therapist.
No shit.
Like, we were talking about basically, like, she had gotten me to a pinnacle of, like, why my mental health is so bad. Like, okay, and I don't want to say this as if I'm the worst person in the world. Like, that's my thing, is that, like, here, I'll be very, very vulnerable, actually, and just, like, name it. My self-talk, my view of myself is wrong. I told her in this session, I said, it's like there's two people living, and then I switched and I said, no. It's like I'm watching the devil and the angel on my shoulder, and I prefer one side. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember the other.
Yep.
And she was like, yeah, like you're very, like, hard. Well, I think everybody knows this about me, that I'm very hard on myself. And then we launched into a conversation about, like, what we do here, like putting yourself out there and, like, doing things like this. And I was like, what I don't want is to, because I view myself this way, to then have other people view me this way, because I can't stop it. Viewing myself this way, I mean, right? Like, if I'm viewing myself this way, what is stopping other people from believing the same narrative I'm selling them about me? When I could be selling a narrative, or not even selling a narrative, but, like, being the narrative that I value and, like, holding my integrity there, right? Which is, like, the point. And so it was, like, a very poignant therapy session to have, and it's, like, weird that it coincides, but that is the level, though, like, just one example of the level of, like, how Avatar is so effective. So effective. And, like, the recovery piece that you're talking about too, the fact that Aang is in recovery from something horrifying.
Yeah.
Something,
the loss of his entire
awful.
Culture.
We have to understand empathy for ourselves when we blame ourselves for something. Right? And that's hard. That's, like, hard to do. So yeah,
It's hard.
that spiritual connection that like exists between the show and people who watch it is insane.
Yeah. No, the I remember what like my first really big step, I had like a lot of shame around fucking off during college and especially my senior year, and I like was shame spiraling a little bit. This is very early on in my recovery. This was like this is a real turning point for me in my early recovery when I like was trying to figure out how to forgive myself for that, and I was so ashamed. And I remember asking, like, look, it was like, that girl didn't eat a meal in April of 2017. Mm-hmm. Could be honest with yourself, could she have done it? And I was like, no, she wasn't. She wasn't capable.
My therapist is saying the same shit to me. Like, she's like, literally think about what you're doing today and what can you do? Like, because I was explaining to her like my weird ableist versus like the disabled, like being newly disabled, right? And being like, okay, now I have to think of myself as somebody who can't do these things that I used to be able to do. And she's like, you need to forgive yourself for what you're not able to do, because guess what? You were able to do something. Like, you did something. You're not doing nothing, and you're not worthless. You're not these things. And it's just,
that's why I like do what you can where you can, because the what you can part makes it flexible, because some days you can do more than others, like outside of like going from being able to being disabled. Like, there's just days where your mental health is fucked up and you're like, I actually just can't do it today. Like, I actually need to just chill and watch some fucking TV today.
Yeah. Well, actually, and I have this other thing, maybe it's a helpful kind of solution to this in the real world. It's a DBT therapy thing, and it's called the 4 Agreements. This is what she told me about, and it's hitting the avatar mark so hard too. So the first thing is, be impeccable with your words. Speak with integrity. 2, the 4 Agreements. 2, don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
Like, nothing others do is because of you.
It's because of them. It's not because of you. It's not a reflection on who you are or what's going on in your life. It's a reflection of them and what's going on in their day. Yeah.
Even if someone comes up to you and says, you're horrible, you're fat, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. Not about you.
Not about you, but it's about them. That's how they feel about them.
3, don't make assumptions about yourself or other people. Like, have the courage to ask questions and have the courage to express what you really want.
Yeah.
4th is always do your best. And I think with that example you say about Aang keeping his integrity in his people by doing his best with Ozai, how aligned is that? Like, no. Right? And so when she showed me these 4 agreements, I was like, you know what? I love shit like this, because I'm like, I can sign that. I can look back on that and be like, I agreed. Like, it's that thing you told me months ago where you were like, you make the decision now, you don't have to make it again.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's not a decision you have to make over and over again. Right? Yeah.
Like, maybe I have to remember these things over and over again, but if I sign the 4 agreements, if I agree to the 4 agreements, I've agreed. I can accept that that's the path I took. I don't have to keep drilling it.
No. You just have to remind yourself what the path you're on. And like what. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like, it's not, I was having a day where I was like insecure for a little bit, and I was like, why? You know, like, I had to have a conversation with myself. And then also remind myself that my opinion of me is the only one that matters. Which is, I think, why Aang was so fucked up when everyone was like, just kill the Fire Lord. And he's like, you don't understand. Like, I have to live with myself afterwards. And I've been taught, and again, his last non-living connection to his people is his moral code. Like, yeah, and he did the damn thing.
Read it again.
Oh, God, shall I? Because I don't mind. The true mind can weather all the lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can tuck the poison of hate without being harmed. Since beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purified light. Which also relates to Vatu and Rava, and because she tells Rava tells Juan that like darkness and light can't exist without each other at all. Like, she was like, if I destroyed him, he would be born out of me, and if he destroyed me, I would be born from him. Like, it's a balance. You know, we need the nighttime to refresh us, and we need the daytime to be able to like do things. Oh my god. No, I'm in my Uncle Iroh quote section, and I love this one. I actually said an abridged version of this for my quote. We do a quote during lineup. And when we don't have, it's usually the sommelier's job to like do like an inspirational quote or whatever the fuck, but we don't always have them at lineup. Like sometimes they come in like a little bit later. So I'll do a quote. And I did an abridged version of this particular quote. No, you must never give in to despair. Allow yourself to slip down that road and you surrender to your lowest instincts. In the darkest times, hope is something you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength. Which I just love. I already said this. That's very noble of you. I believe people can change their lives if they want to. I believe in second chance. He literally fully stops looking at Jet and looks at Zuko. He's like, I believe in second chances. It's so fucking, it cracks me the fuck up. Sick of tea? That's like being sick of breathing. True. Good tea is its own reward.
When people tell me they don't like tea, I'm like,
friendship over. Sus. I bet you like Pepsi too. Fucking A. Oh, this one's great. Is it your destiny or is it... This is actually... So this is my favorite thing about Uncle Iroh. This is going to come up again in another quote. Everybody has like a role to play. Everybody has... And we all have our own interests and talents and things like that because actually we need everyone to be interested in different things. I don't fuck with insects in no kind of way. Thank God that Haley does so that somebody can research it and tell me our shit's about to go down when the bees die. You know what I mean? Like somebody needs to be... I don't want to work in a grocery store for my entire life, but I'm so grateful that Melody at QFC fucking was into it and worked there forever. She had regulars, like she knew people. Like we need people to... Like everyone finds their satisfaction and contentment with the things that they're interested in, and we actually need them to. Like you need to know what you're actually really in your heart of hearts. So,
I mean, that's a great point about communism and like the transition after capitalism, right? Because people don't often understand that once you, like, people think, oh, we're gonna lose everything because we don't have what we had, and it's like we can still have what we have if people want to do what they want.
Yeah. No, if you can, like, and you can, that's like what Martha Beck's book, The Way of Integrity, is about. Because, like, integrity actually means wholeness. It doesn't mean moral uprightness or it doesn't have anything to do with ethics. It has to do with you're just operating with the whole, like, you're in alignment. Your whole being is in alignment with what you, with what your soul's purpose is, what you want.
Yeah. Going forward with.
And like Aang's decision, like Aang being in full alignment for Aang was not killing. Sokka could kill and still be in alignment, but Aang can't. Mm-hmm. You know, like that's what I'm like talking about when he's operating within his full integrity. I don't think he could have, if his goal, if like he had to do something like that to kill Ozai, I don't think he would have fucking made it because he wouldn't have been operating in his own integrity, full alignment with himself.
We would have had a different Aang story when we approached Korra if that had been the
been the case. Yeah. Thank Christ it wasn't.
And Zuko might have held resentment. You don't know because he did lose his mom, and losing his dad might have held, like, he could have repressed and held some resentment that may have come up in the future. And I think Aang
or just traumatic bonding with an abusive partner. Like people like get bonded to the people that abuse them, which he was constantly abused by his father.
It just wouldn't have been good for the relationship between Zuko and Aang because Aang needed Zuko, like we've established. Aang, the world needed Zuko. But I love, like, Iroh's really good at, like, because he does it in the episode where they're about to, like, fucking think, like, Sokka asks Iroh, he's like, what are our destinies today? And he's like, what do you think it is? What do you think? He's like, why are you asking me what you need to be doing? What do you think you need to be doing? And Sokka was like, we're gonna go try to fuck up the fleet. And he's like, great.
That sounds great. That sounds awesome. We'll take Ba Sing Se, you take the fleet. Aang's got the Fire Lord, Zuko will take Azula. We divide and conquer. I'm begging you, Prince Zuko. It's time you look inward and start asking yourself the big questions. Who are you and what do you want? This one's intense. But this one, because understanding the struggle between your two great-grandfathers can help you better understand the battle within yourself. Evil and good are always at war inside you. It is your nature, your legacy. But there is a bright side. What happened generations ago can be resolved now by you. Because of your legacy, you alone can cleanse the sins of our family and the Fire Nation. Born in you, along with all the strife, is the power to restore balance to the world. This is a royal artifact. It is supposed to be worn by the crown prince, and he hands Zuko Roku's hairpiece. I fucking told you I was gonna cry during Avatar.
If it makes you feel any better, I do have goosebumps. I do have goosebumps currently.
So it's like about working through trauma. Like there's about working through trauma. There's shadow work. There's recognizing your worth. There's working through generational trauma. Like this. So good. So good. This next, I swear, I want this quote tattooed on my fucking face. This is as a recovered addict. Like these are the quotes that I'm like, this is why I love Zuko and his quest for honor and Uncle Iroh counseling him through it. Is like, these are all things that I've said to myself, like as I've
gone through it
and tried to learn how to forgive myself for my stupid bullshit and fucking being addicted to substances. Uncle Iroh, it's a full conversation. I mean, not full, but it's when Zuko comes back to Iroh at the camp at Ba Sing Se. He says, I was never angry with you. I was sad because I was afraid you lost your way. And Zuko says, I did lose my way. And Iroh goes on, but you found it again, and you did it by yourself, and I'm so happy you have found your way here.
That's love, dude. That's love. That's fatherly love that Ozai could never. That's Ozai could fucking never. Ozai wishes. Ozai didn't wish. Ozai's puke.
That's true. If Ozai knew how to not be a narcissist, he would wish. But he's such a narcissistic asshole. That one. I swear, I want that one tattooed on my face. Okay, and then my last Iroh quote to liven things up and also show Iroh's integrity and the way Martha Beck means it, like what he actually wants. After I reconquer Ba Sing Se, I'm going to reconquer my tea shop, and I'm going to play Pai Show every day.
I love that when you see him in Korra too, he's like, tea party?
Doing exactly that. Literally. When he comes back in Korra, I made a sound I've never heard myself make it before, and then burst into tears.
That's because for Korra, Iroh was a spiritual hero. I think that when she's in the spirit world, especially as a child, she had to have heard children's stories about Iroh, understanding a story from Zuko and the Firebenders, and being like, okay, she knew she needed Grandpa. She knew she needed Avatar Grandpa, right? Like she knew. And when he comes to her, she's like, Iroh, like she's so. And then that inner child part of her, right? Like clings to the same thing that Zuko needed. And that was somebody to love through anger and frustration and fear. And Iroh is very that. Because I think about Iroh too, the fact that he lost his son in the way that he did, that is fuel for the flame.
For that.
And it's fuel for the flame for every child that he encounters. in the spirit world, in the earthly world.
Tales of Bossing Say. I never rewatched that episode because it makes me cry too hard. Like, he's like playing with the boys, and the boys break a window, and he's like, you must face your mistakes and own up to it, and it'll be okay, you guys. And then they see the giant man come out, and he's like, he's gonna beat us up, let's run. Like, it's actually not safe for us anymore, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, yeah, fuck. Iroh had to do a lot of emotional work. That's why he's always telling Zuko he can have a second chance. Because he's like, I've given myself a second chance. I have a new lease on life because I did the fucking work.